Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Bird Dog to Intern with Ivan Oberon. I am your host, Ivan Oberon, as you can see there on your screen and by my voice. This is Thursday, February 27th, if you guys can believe that. And I know I say this almost every single week, but every single week that goes by, I just think it's crazy how fast time goes by. And I have a couple of young kids and an older kid who's already out of school, but um, my 10 and my 7-year old, I mean, they got like 3 months left of school, and that's it. And so it's kind of down to the wire. We're finally getting into spring. The terrible winter that the United States and the Midwest has been experiencing is, I think, finally about to release its grip. We got a little bit of rain here today, which really started last night, which is good because we are actually in a terrible, terrible drought here in Southern California, which is where I'm at, and that may make you guys like me a little bit more, or it may make you like me less, depending on what part of the country you guys live in and what you've been experiencing. And man, it's just been terrible. I have projects going on in Indianapolis. I have partners in Atlanta and in Kansas City, and I was in Indy and in Kansas City. And man, I don't know how you guys lived. Seriously. So if any of you on this call are in are in that part of the country, my heart goes out to you, and God bless you for surviving this and everything, because it's been rough, and I'm not particularly one who likes the cold. So when I get calls from my contractors saying, "Hey, we're not going to be able to go out to the property today because everything is shut down," or "I'm at one of your properties and there's water coming out of the front door, and there's there's a sheet of glass, going down the front porch steps." That's not something that is fun or that I'm used to, and so I feel for that. I know this call isn't about rehabbing, but man, there's some things out there, especially being primarily from the West Coast, that you don't think about and that you don't expect, and that even people in those places, when they built the drain systems and the storm drains and all that kind of stuff, the water tables, they didn't expect those temperatures to get below below 19 degrees, and so it's crazy. It stops everything that we're doing, because we're in a business of sales, just like everything that we do. If you guys don't understand that yet, you are always selling. You're either being sold something or you are selling something. And that is a big part of what this particular strategy and this business as a whole is. So, what are we focusing on here in this particular strategy? Why are you on this call? Why are we here tonight? I'm going to break it down for you guys, especially since we have what I see to be quite a few new names. And for those of you who have been on my calls before and have been working the program for a while, we're going to open this up, obviously, to any questions that you guys have, any struggles, and I'm going to talk about some changes that are taking place and the reasons why. I'm going to talk about some exciting things going on for Coast to Coast RIA and what that could mean for everybody else. So we're going to be on here for probably about 45 minutes to an hour. That's all the time that I'm going to take from you guys. And I know I say that sometimes, and we've gone like 2 hours before, which is crazy. But I promise not to do that to you guys tonight, as I'm starving already, because I've been on the phone and in front of my computer all day, just like every other day. So, what is this strategy? Obviously, you guys have signed up through c2cread.com/ bird dog program. So, I think you have a basic idea of what the original TMT is, how you're sourcing leads, and so forth. And the reason that you're sourcing those leads is for a owner finance lease purchase type of strategy. And why is that good? Why do you guys want to be involved in that? And why did I get involved in that? Well, since 2007, ever since kind of the height of the mortgage implosion took place, conventional lending has gone haywire. So you guys probably know that. You understand that. You know what's going on out there, and fully 90% or so of the population right now do not qualify for conventional mortgage financing. So what does that mean? That means that there is a significant need in the marketplace. And anytime there's a significant need in the marketplace, that means that there is a significant opportunity for those who know how to meet that need and fill that need of people. So what is that need? You still have people that need housing. You still have people that want to move and want to own a house. That's still, even though we're becoming more and more of a renter's nation, that is still kind of the American dream. To own your own house, own your own place, be king of your own castle, queen of your own castle, whatever you want to call it. And back before 2007, as you guys have heard the cliche expression that anybody who could fog a mirror could get a loan, well, that is not the case anymore. And it doesn't matter if it's a credit issue or what it is. I mean, I know people with perfect credit scores who do not qualify for conventional lending. And why is that? It used to be credit. It could still be credit. It could be that you just changed jobs. It could be that you are an entrepreneur, small business owner, you're self-employed. Your income doesn't reflect the way that the bank's underwriting guidelines want it to reflect. You may be making $200,000 or $300,000 a year, but because you're smart and you have a good CPA, maybe you're only showing $40,000 a year as income. So of course, those are all things that are going to prevent you from qualifying for financing. And so the stigma that people used to have, and even still have till this day, because they're not educated, not caught up with the times, of, oh well, we have to see your credit history, and everything is dependent on your credit history, and they wouldn't even rent you a house or an apartment if there's something derogatory with your credit that they don't like. So that is where the opportunity is. You have a bunch of people, and probably 1 out of 5 people that you know is going to move this year. And people move all the time. And people that move oftentimes want to move into a place that they can call their own, not just a place where they're quote unquote throwing away money into a rental. So the flip side to that, and one of the reasons that I got into this, is the flip side is, of course, you have sellers. You have sellers who want to sell their properties, and they have the same issue. Well, now the buyers that don't qualify, well, those are the people that would be buying these houses. So now the sellers have the issue of not being able to find qualified buyers. And so what ends up happening a lot of the times is they eat these payments, and they keep eating these payments, and keep eating these payments. And so they finally say, you know what, the property's not selling, or maybe I don't have enough equity to sell through a realtor, and I don't want to, have to pay them their thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in commissions to sell my property. And so, you know what, we'll just list it for rent right now, because we got to stop the bleeding, we got to stop the pain. Let's get a tenant in there. And of course, that puts them in a position that is not as equitable as a position as we're offering, because as you all know, a tenant is not always going to have the the most pride of ownership, and really be committed to taking care of that property and making their payments on time, and so on and so forth. Even though we all like to believe ourselves and that other people would be responsible, a lot of times that doesn't happen. And part of the reason that doesn't happen is because there's nothing in it for them. They don't have a reason to really want to maintain the property and take care of it. So that is the need. That is why there's an opportunity. And I'm a real estate investor, and I had a 10-year long plus career in the insurance business. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to maintain my licenses, and I have till tomorrow to complete another like 13 hours of continuing education so that I can maintain it. Even though I don't do that full time anymore, I do have the occasional opportunity to write a life insurance policy or something that'll come up. So I got to do that still. And the only reason I tell you that is because a lot of people think that they're busy. They have their full-time jobs, and how are they going to get into this business, and what are they going to do? Believe me, I've been there. That's where I started. I had a full-time career that eventually I worked my way out of, and I had to build my business, while I was at work, as much as I could on breaks that I took, and when I would get home and into the wee hours of the night, you would work your business. So I'm telling you that because some people complain about, well, I only have so much time. Well, you know what? You make time, and it's about sacrificing. If this is something that you want bad enough, then that's what you'll do. All right, back on track. So, why did I start getting into this? Is I started rehabbing, into this business, rehabbing properties. The same reason why probably the majority of people get into real estate investing. There's all these shows, there's all these infomercials, there's all this stuff for years about flipping houses and how to be a millionaire flipping houses, and all it takes is you pay us $30,000 and within 7 weeks you'll be a millionaire, and that kind of stuff is nonsense, obviously, but that's what draws the people in. So I started rehabbing houses, made it my mission to raise private money because I didn't want to use hard money lenders. I didn't want to go through that whole process. And after a couple of months of just really committing myself to the education piece, to understanding how everything was supposed to work from start to finish, so that I could have an intelligent conversation with confidence with people, going out there and putting myself out there and starting to change how I would present myself to people. I'm a real estate investor. Yeah, I'd been in insurance for nearly a decade, but at some point you have to change how you view yourself. If you want to be a real estate investor, if you want to get out from where you're at, if that is your ultimate goal, and not just to do this, as a part-time thing on the side for some extra cash and keep whatever job you have, which is absolutely fine if that's what you want to do. But if that's not your goal, then it all starts in your mind. It starts in the mindset piece of telling yourself who you are. And so I would start introducing myself to people when they ask me, like, who are you? Like, what do you do? Well, I'm a real estate investor. Yeah, and by the way, and I'm blah 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 blah, and I also do insurance. So there was that shift that I had to make, and there's a couple of reasons why I did that, and why I recommend that you do that. Okay, the first reason is you have to envision yourself where you want to be and who you want to be, and where you want to reach, and all those different things. You have to envision that. You have to start believing that that's who you are, and as whatever, take it for what it's worth, and however it may sound to you, there's something to that. Okay, regardless of what your beliefs are, there's something to just seeing yourself and visualizing and envisioning yourself as a certain type of person, as a real estate investor. And what does that person do? The other reason is to create opportunity. Okay, the small business owner, the entrepreneur, their biggest problem is not a product or a service that they provide, and that's what, or a strategy that they choose, or whatever it is. And that's I think a big misconception that a lot of people have, is I have to, there has to be this best product, or I have to choose just the right strategy, or I have to provide this specific service. And all those things are valuable, and yes, you do have to focus on those things. However, I will contest that the entrepreneurs and the small business owners' biggest problem is obscurity. That is their biggest challenge, is obscurity. They don't know what, if people don't know who they are or what they do, there's not going to be any opportunities. So that's why you change how you present yourself, and you tell people that you're a real estate investor, because when that happens, now you'll start creating more exposure for yourself. People will start seeing, oh, well, that guy, this and that. And then you can start planting the seeds of opportunity. And the opportunities may not come immediately. They may not come right away, and they certainly won't come with every conversation that you have. But I can tell you that those seeds do germinate over time, and they do bear fruit over time, because you tell people not only who you are, but you talk in a way that you're excited about it. Okay, that's why I focused on the education piece first, getting the details down right. Because when you know a process, when you know about something, you can speak of it confidently and intellectually. You can answer questions, even if they're not really really detailed questions, because obviously when I first started doing this, I had never done a deal in my life. So I needed to understand how the process worked, and I committed myself. I invested money, I invested time, and educated myself, and then started exposing myself to people, to situations, to opportunities. And then I could talk about the process. And because I believed that I am a real estate investor, This is my future. This is what I've been imagining and thinking about since I was 17 years old. And I never had any idea, especially back then, how I would ever end up in real estate. I just knew there was something special about real estate and that I needed to get in that direction. And of course, everything the government did and the mortgage banks and all that kind of stuff, how everything fell apart, that created the opportunity that I needed and that thousands of other people needed, obviously, because it's I mean, it's everywhere, right? It really got people's awareness up about real estate investing. And the funny thing is that there's nothing new under the sun. Okay, real estate has been a great investment and a money maker for since the beginning of real estate. So there are more millionaires in this world that either became millionaires through real estate or have real estate as part of their financial strategy to increase their wealth exponentially via real estate. So there's nothing new, but that crash, that whole thing that just made the whole world aware of what is going on, was really the catalyst that put me in, and I said, okay, well, I need to go and I need to spend all the money and do all the things and commit myself and burn those ships. And so I did. So that's why I tell you that the opportunities are there. And I'll give you one example, and then we'll move on. And if it seems like I'm going all over the place, please tell me. But there's a direction that we're going in. Okay. And just one example here is I had a guy that I was talking to, and one of the first things that we started doing once we really started doing deals and our network started growing and having more and more opportunities, we were always about giving back. That was always our one of our first monikers, was moving forward by giving back. And so there was a guy that was talking to me, and he had gone through Fortune Builders, and he had some questions. He was having a really hard time grasping certain things for some reason, certain concepts. So he approached me online and he asked if I'd be willing to meet with him and explain some things to him. And finally, I said, sure, why not? I'm not. If you come to see me, I'll go ahead and do it. And he made the sacrifice and the investment of making about a 2-hour drive to come to see me. And we met at a Starbucks, not too far from my house, and we had this conversation. He brought his laptop. He had all these questions about ARB and how do you calculate repairs and like all these different things. And it ended up being about a 2-hour long conversation. And what I didn't realize is that there was a couple kind of behind us listening in this whole time. And by the time we were wrapping things up, they saw that things were kind of finishing. I stood up, and somebody came and kind of tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around, and the gentleman said, I've been overhearing your conversation. It really sounds like you know what you're talking about. And here's my card. I'd like to have a follow-up conversation with you about maybe doing some investing together. And because I did that, and because I put myself out there and made that sacrifice of my time to go talk to somebody else who wasn't going to pay me, wasn't going to do really anything for me, and not having that attitude of, well, I got to get something, because I always have to have the attitude of give to get. So here I was willing to give. And because of that, and because I was putting myself out there, and because I was making myself known in a public place, somebody happened to overhear the conversation and an opportunity sprang from it. So that's why I'm telling you guys to put yourself out there and here's another situation that I know, based on the number of people that are on this call, there's probably a good chance that this is you. And this was me in the beginning also. Okay, because in the beginning I had certain reasons that I didn't want certain people to know that I was getting into real estate investing, to know that I was kind of branching out and creating something new. And so I would keep it a secret from a lot of people. One, I didn't want the naysayers and, oh man, blah blah blah, and you get your fill of those people, because they're out there. You're going to get all those negative people that shoot down your dreams and what do you mean? And you don't have any money, and you don't have any credit, and you don't have this and that, and how are you going to do this? So naturally, I was very selective in the beginning who I told, but I still got put myself out there. And so I know that statistically there has to be some of you in that situation, whether it's because you don't want your boss to find out, you don't want certain family members to find out, maybe there's a difficult situation and you don't want your current or your ex to find out. There's been plenty of those situations. So it's an issue that you have to combat. And one of my challenges also was I couldn't expand my social media presence because there were certain people that oh man, I just can't let them find out. I don't want them to know. What is it going to do? And so there was all these restrictions. And the reason that I'm telling you many of the things that I'm telling you is because I've been there. Okay, I've gone through a lot of these challenges. I've had the full time, more than full time job that I had to get out of. I've had the challenge of keeping things a secret. I've had all these roadblocks, and it's possible. I'm just here to tell you that it's possible. You just have to decide what you're doing and what you want to do, what you want to become, and go after it. And sure, take precautions, but man, there comes a point where you have to throw caution to the wind and just go after it in an unadulterated way and with full belief and full confidence, and plugging yourself in with the right people so that you can go do it and be successful. All right, so back to thank you, Milton. Back to this specific strategy. Why is it good? We've already identified the fact that there's a significant pain and a need in the industry. So when there is such a thing and you can create a solution, there's going to be an opportunity for you. So that is one thing. There's buyers that want to buy who can't buy, who need to get qualified. There's sellers who want to sell who can't sell because they can't get qualified buyers. So here we are. We come in, and the other reason is as a rehabber, that's going to be a problem. And I'll tell you this as a tidbit. Cash flow is the future. Okay, so fixing and flipping, as we have known it, in my opinion, is going away. We're seeing those things kind of trickle down. The spreads are getting thinner. The inventory's lessening. All those things are happening. So the other thing is our end buyers are the retail buyer, right? And if there are less and less qualified buyers, then there's a potential for our properties to sit on the market for a longer period of time when we're looking for that, retail owner occupant versus doing the cash flow thing where the majority of those people, unless you're talking California, the majority of those people are paying cash because you got private investors, you got investor funds, you got hedge funds, you got all these different people that are buying investment properties, cash flow properties for the right reasons. So that's a shift, and this is kind of like that in the sense that it's a better strategy, not better, but it's an alternative strategy that takes some of the risks out of investing. So especially if you've never done other forms of real estate investing and you haven't gotten your feet wet yet, or you don't have the $30,000 to go spend on education and or whatever it is, this is a way that you can get into investing and learn a great deal about the market, about yourself, learn how to sell, techniques and things that you're going to need and that you're going to be able to use in many other industries, even your own personal jobs, depending on what kind of business that you work in, what kind of industry that you work in. This technique, this strategy is an amazing way to learn many valuable things, and of course do deals in a way that doesn't require you to spend money on advertising, doesn't require you to spend money on put money out there for rehabs and have hundreds of thousands of dollars committed and at risk and tied up and all those different things. I mean, I've had nearly $2 million tied up at one time, across 12, 13 properties. And I mean, there's a significant gut check that comes with that stuff, and a significant uh, commitment to managing things. And what if something goes wrong? And then when it does go wrong, because it's never if, it's when. It's a snowball effect, and so there's all these different things, and that's kind of what pushed me into this strategy myself, is because I was already managing a bunch of rehabs at the time, because you do one and then you're good, and then all right, well, how about we pick up two or three, and pretty soon, you got a dozen or more, and you realize that maybe you bit off a little bit more than you should have, and so you have to start scaling certain things back. So I got into this because I didn't have to put my own money at risk anymore, my investors' money at risk anymore. Um, there was still a good payout or reward for, especially the risk reward thing is huge, because there's hardly any risk here. Anybody can get started in it, but it does take time. It does take a significant commitment on your part to learn and to step outside of your comfort zone, and step out of the box. Like that's another thing that I love about this, and about the the coaching program that we're putting together, because there's something that's been happening. Well, I'll get into that in a minute. Let me finish going through this process so that you guys understand it. So that's the reason for the opportunity. That's why it's safe and it's good for you guys to be getting into this. That's why we're generating a tremendous following, because people understand that, and we're candid and we're open and we're transparent, and we've been more than generous with the information and time that we provide, and so all those things are great things, as long as you understand that it's going to require work, it's going to require commitment. Things are not going to happen overnight, because you just don't have the skills to do that yet. You don't have the skills to close all your own deals, and the front end and the back end and the contracts and all those different things. And it's okay. And so don't take that the wrong way. It's okay. We all start somewhere. We're all brand new. I was brand new at all of this at one point. The only reason I'm standing here is because I've committed myself, and I've disciplined myself, and I've worked my butt off every single day. And I'm not ashamed to say that. And I have gone through trials and adversities, and I've lost money, and I've made money, and I've dealt with people that just, suck. And here we are, and all the while providing value to other people. And that's how we started. Found ways to add value to others, and the value just comes back. And like Vincent says, it's kind of like the give to get, and it works. It works that way. So here's the process. And for those of you who are bird dogs, the idea is for you guys to not be bird dogs for very long, and especially now when we're kind of kicking certain things into higher gear. And but the process is, we identify a potential seller, whether it's on a for rent ad, for sale ad, whatever it is. We identify a potential seller. We call that seller. The majority of the time, I'm the one calling on them, because you guys were sourcing leads and so on and so forth. But we call the seller. We get them on board. If they understand and they're agreeable to the process and to selling their house the way that we're proposing, and we send them a contract, get the property under contract, so that we have the equitable interest in the property to be able to market the property for buyers. Once an interested party is identified, we schedule a viewing. They view the property. If they like the property, we execute a contract with the buyer. They remit the requisite funds. We assign the contract to the seller, and then we draft the contract for deed installment purchase contract agreement. And it can literally happen in a matter of days if all the pieces line up together. Okay. Of course, that's usually not how it goes down, because this is reality. This isn't fantasy, infomercial land. It's reality. So oftentimes it can take a while. But the process, so you guys will understand it, and this might be over some of your guys' head. For some of you, it might clear certain things up because you've been doing this for a while. Hang on a second, I have a comment. All right, so a comment here, I won't reveal who it is, but I feel a little fear in letting people I know that I'm in real estate due to mm, the nonsense criticism. Okay, yeah. So that's a big thing, of course. Of course, you want to keep the negative Nellies out. But you know what? Let your success be speak for itself. Go out there and show people that you will outwork them, that you will commit yourself, that you are willing to make sacrifices, that you are willing to do for the next 2 years what most people won't, so that you can live the rest of your life in a way that most people cannot and will not. That is what it's about. It's understanding that this is sacrifice. Okay, there's no such thing as an overnight success and a self-made millionaire and all this nonsense, because the people that you see that are successful, it's usually a culmination of a minimum of 5 years, usually more than a decade of grinding, of pain, and of sweat, and of sacrifice, and of late nights, and sleepless nights, and stress, and bags under our eye, all these different things that lead people there. Okay, most people, they want to believe that's going to happen in 2 or 3 weeks, and then they completely sputter out, and they fade out, and you never see them again. Okay, don't let that be you. Don't have that mentality of, oh man, well, it's just not happening still, and it won't happen for me. And look at this guy, he's well, why does he have all the luck? Like, that is the garbage that will keep you wherever you are, where you don't want to be, and you'll wake up there a year from now. You can't have that kind of mentality. Okay, you got to keep it positive. Again, rejoice in other people's successes, and those types of things will come back to you. Don't be that person that you see these people succeeding, and all it does is it craps you out because you think that should have been you, and well, why should it have been you? Granted, yeah, some people maybe having to be at the right situation, the right place, the right time to say the right thing, whatever it is. But we are where we are because of ourselves, because of the decisions, the aggregate value of all the decisions that we've made in our lives up until this point. That is the reason that you are where you are. Okay, whether you like where you are or not, that is the reason you are where you are. And the sooner you take accountability and responsibility for that, the sooner that you'll regain the power that you need to bust out of that situation, good or bad. I don't care what it is. You get in a car accident, take responsibility for it. Now, I'm not saying if it's not your fault, go tell the police officer, it's my fault. You should give me the ticket, and I should get my insurance rates to go up. The point that I'm making here is you can still take responsibility for it. You can take accountability for it, and harness that power. How would you do that in a stupid situation like that? Well, you know what? I could have left 5 minutes earlier. I could have left 5 minutes later. I could have driven 5 miles an hour slower. I could have driven 5 miles an hour faster. All these different things. And I'm not saying do it in a deprecatory way, like why didn't you do that? Man, if only I had, and if only no. I'm not saying any of that nonsense either. I'm saying there's power in taking responsibility for where you are in your life right now, and that power will propel you into where you want to be. So long as you have a clear target and you set your goals and you go after them every single day, no matter how you feel. Maybe some days you perform better than other days, but it doesn't matter. You're still committed and you're still moving forward. So anyway, that is the strategy. That is what we're doing, and we're doing it in a way that's different than what most other people are doing, because everybody's familiar with what rent to own is. Everybody's familiar, or at least have heard the term lease option, and that is not what we do here. Now, if it's requested and if that's what somebody absolutely wants, then of course we can structure that. But here's what we're doing. Here's the difference, and why it's better, and why you guys can feel confident in what it is that your quote unquote product that you're selling, your value proposition is this. The way that we structure these things is under a contract for deed, where the deed does not convey, that is in compliance with the IRS installment purchase contract guidelines, so that it becomes a bona fide purchase from day one. Now, what is the benefit for a seller or a buyer? Of course, the benefit for a seller is they have somebody that we have otherwise qualified to move into the property. What does that mean? So they're not qualified for conventional financing, but they are otherwise qualified because they do have the financial wherewithal to get into the property, and they can afford the monthly payments, and they're committed to working with us to getting qualified for conventional financing down the road. So what does it mean to have the financial wherewithal to get into the property? That means that they are already qualified from a down payment standpoint. Okay. I use that other term because I don't want anybody making a big deal over the down payment. I don't want you even saying down payment when you talk to people on the phone. Okay. Because if you don't make an issue over something, typically they will not make an issue over it either. So I never say down payment when I talk to sellers, because that is how we get paid, guys. Okay. Don't throw your money away. Don't throw my money away. Don't throw our money away. Okay. So we're all in this together. We're all going to do deals together. The better I do, the better you do, the better we do together. And so don't leave my money on the table don't take offense to this, by being weak and not closing. Don't say, "Oh yeah, well, we'll give you the down payment." And no, don't ever say that. And that's one of the things that we're going to be working on in our coaching program, because there's a lot of people who are God bless them, they're out there and they're taking action and they're making calls and they're breaking through the fear, but they're telling people all kinds of things that are not accurate. And we're seeing these contracts come through with these provisions, and seller wants $80,000 down and like all these different things, and it's just like, we're taking all that liability. Okay, that's another reason why this is a benefit for you, because we not only do we handle all the contracting and the closing and the liability. Okay, that's, you guys need to consider that. Okay, our name is on those contracts. So if anything ever goes wrong, we're the ones liable. So if you guys are telling people things that are not right, it's going to come back to us. And so that's one of the reasons that we pulled a lot of the information off the forum, because people are going out there and telling people all kinds of crazy things, and so we can't handle that. We can't have that. And the other thing is that we're doing you a disservice almost, because you're not being able to close as effectively as you should be able to, because you don't have the right information, and a lot of people are making stuff up, and like I said, just telling people random things. So we're going to change all that and really kind of fast track you guys in the learning process, so that you can have that conversation, you can answer those questions effectively, and everybody can do more deals. So anyway, where was I? Doggone it. So I was talking about about the process of how we take the sellers. Oh yeah, so what it ends up being, the benefit here is we're bringing these people a committed buyer from day one. Okay, and they're committed and they understand that it's an installment purchase contract. There is no option to buy down the road. There's no rent to own and phantom rent credits and all this different stuff. That, by the way, after the new legislation that was just passed in January, lenders will not count rent credits towards the down payment. They won't credit those things towards the loan for qualification purposes. So they're a waste. So we don't set those things up like that, because we want people to be committed. We don't want things to fall apart. We want to set these things up for success from the beginning. And if you're not committed, and if you're not qualified, if you're not all these different things, fine, go away. I have people, in the last week, I've talked to probably 3 or 4 people that I turned away because they were calling me on a $300,000 or $400,000 property, and they had like $3,000, $4,000 down. And I'm sorry, like, sure, I wouldn't mind having that $4,000, but the point is not the $4,000. The point is that that's not going to set the deal up right. because that $4,000 isn't going to get you qualified for a loan 2 years from now. And if you only have $4,000 now, you might not ever get that $25,000 that it's going to take for you to actually qualify. So it's not a good deal for anybody. So you don't just take whatever comes at you if it's not going to be set up for success. So they have a committed buyer. They have somebody who's going to take care of all the maintenance and repairs on the property, because in effect, they are taking the position of borrower or owner, and the sellers are taking the position of lender, okay, or mortgagee. So this isn't a tenant landlord relationship. And as such, the buyer is basically, or I'm sorry, the seller is basically relieved of all financial burden of the property. So the payment that they're going to get is going to cover at least their principal, interest, and property taxes. The buyers are going to take care of their own homeowners insurance policy, so that the sellers don't have to carry that anymore, and they're not going to have to be called with leaky toilets and my sink doesn't work and all these different things, because the buyers are coming in and they are responsible for all maintenance and repairs. And so, of course, the better alternative is a cash purchase, right? Or a qualified financing buyer that'll cash them out today. Of course, that's the better deal. But this is the next best thing as far as options are concerned. Now, the buyer, of course, has the benefit of not having a landlord, being able to paint, being able to have whatever pets they want, being able to basically be an owner, not a renter. They'll receive the tax benefits as well, especially if they're a W-2 employee, and be able to get a net increase in their take-home pay, because they'll be able to change their withholdings, because now that monthly payment that they're making is a tax deduction, whereas a rent payment is not. They have somebody who's already committed to sell them the property, so that, they're not going to sell it out from underneath them like many landlords do in some cases. And there's certain provisions and safety nets and safeguards for both parties in the contract. For example, the seller has to provide the buyer with monthly updates and verification that they are maintaining the underlying mortgage. Because what has happened in the past, and I'm sure you guys have heard of this, is a landlord rents out their property, they collect the rent, the tenant is faithful in paying their payments, but the landlord is just pocketing the money and not paying the mortgage, and all of a sudden the poor tenants get home and they have a foreclosure notice on their door, and they're basically going to get kicked out in the next 30 days. And we definitely want to avoid that kind of thing. And of course, the benefit for us is that we get to do good and do well. We get to get paid, they get a home, they get a buyer, and it's a win-win-win. And that's why these deals work, and that's why they're good. Now, I'm not saying they're easy. None of this is easy. Real estate is not easy, guys. Okay, this isn't easy. You deal with all kinds of wackos and crazies and people that call you names on the phone and tell you that you're a scam, and all these different preconceived notions, because people have been hurt and people hear things, and you're strangers. You're strangers to everybody, and they're strangers to you, which is why I tell you guys it's so important to build rapport on the phone. Okay, you have to create some kind of connection with people, and that's going to be part of the in-depth training process that we take you through, because it's one thing to have a seller script, because what ends up happening is you're nervous, you don't understand, you've not lived it, and if you haven't lived it, you don't really know it, and so you go and you read this script basically on the phone, and you sound like a robot. You don't let the people get in a word in edgewise, because you're just concerned about getting through it. And man, if I can just get through it, it'll be okay. And then maybe they'll ask me some questions and whatever it is. And you never get a chance to build rapport and ask open-ended questions and really control the conversation by questions. Okay, that's how you control a conversation. You remain in charge by asking the right questions that lead the prospect in a certain direction, so that it makes them believe that they're in control because they're doing the talking, right? So of course they think they're in control, and really you're giving them the control to tell you how to close the deal. They're giving you the information, you're leading them, you're letting them talk, and you're essentially not letting the tail wag the dog, because you guide and direct the conversation. So that's another thing that we're going to be that we'll really go into is how do you handle that rapport building, and handling the objections and not sound scripted. The important thing here is that even if you have the script and you have the information, you have to make it yours. Okay, you have to leverage off of our experiences, off of your team members, off of people that have done such and such a thing, and make it your own conversation. Because when you start saying, my partner, did this, my partner did that, just like I said earlier, right? My partner had a couple of houses that he wanted to get sold, couldn't sell them, not for lack of contracts, but he just couldn't find qualified buyers, blah, 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 blah. So now that wasn't my situation. That wasn't my experience. I didn't live through that. But because I know and I'm connected and I'm close with somebody who did, I can leverage off of that experience and make it my own. Now I've used that experience to give me credibility, but I did it in a way that wasn't embellishing or lying, or, because the last thing you want is like, oh yeah, I had these properties in such and such a place, and it just so happened that they lived, down the street or in the next town, and they start asking you questions about a place that you've never been in your life, and now you sound like an idiot. So, so there's a way that we can make things our own and into our own conversation, and leverage off of other people's experiences and off of other people's networks and all those different things. Hang on a second. I got a couple comments. All right. So, man, this is what we're talking about, sacrifice here, guys. Okay, I have a comment here. Doing this has put a tremendous strain on my marriage. I had to literally stop periodically to put time into it, because the sacrifice is tremendous. Any advice on how to handle this strain? Well, it depends on what you mean by the strain. So if you're talking about your own personal stress, I guess I could talk about, making sure you're eating right, and getting some exercise and getting outside for some fresh air, and all that kind of thing. Strain on your relationship, that comes down to a conversation. Okay, and I'm very blessed, and I mean, I can't even tell you how blessed I am. With any relationship, you have to have an open conversation. There has to be a team aspect happening there, where people understand and can support you. So same thing, when I started in this business, I'd tell certain people, and people that I trusted, and my close friends and stuff like that, um, because I needed support. I needed people to believe in what I was doing. Um, or I'll even kind of use a different example. So it's not um, working out. I was very, very much into bodybuilding. I have been for a long time, and there's a huge sacrifice that takes place there. And I had to get my family and my friends on board, and my buddies. Hey man, we're going to the bar after work and blah blah blah. You want to join us? No, no. You know that I work out from this time to this time every single day. This is what I do. I can't blah blah. Blah. You know what I mean? So then the people that aren't on your support group, that choose not to be on your support group, well, you know what, you kind of step away from those people. So when it comes to somebody in your house, you have to get them on board, man. And if you haven't had a conversation of what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, what the potential payoff is going to be, that you just have to grind it out, and this is why, um, you have to have that conversation. You have to have that conversation, so that so that she can feel included, and then, like, that there's a purpose and a reason. And I don't know, man, do it on your laptop. I'm in front of my computer all day, and I still have work to do at night. So, we have dinner, we put the kids to bed, we have dinner, and we sit on the couch to unwind together. But sometimes I'm still on my computer. But you know what? At least we're doing it together. At least we're there together. I'm not away from her. And the other thing is, I mean, you gotta make time to really unplug. And Valentine's Day, I left my phone, I shut my computer off, I made a commitment to not even look at anything for like 3 or 4 hours. And I'm sorry, man, I know this isn't, we're not getting into like counseling sessions here, but those are things that I've done, that I do, that I would recommend that you do. And I don't know your situation and why the strain is so bad. Um, but having an open, honest conversation about it, and what your vision is, and what you think, and maybe even plugging her into the group, or explain to her the strategy or what you're doing, like those things will help, I believe. But there's a perfect example of the sacrifice that it takes to make it in, creating your own business, running your own business. Because when you do that, a lot of people think there's so much glamour in it. And I have a buddy who's a construction superintendent for a big company, big GC called Whiting Turner. And he builds, huge shopping strips. And his specialty is Targets. He's currently building the largest Target in the world, and he built the most expensive Target in the world up in Northern California, and like, all these different things. But he hates his job. And so he got hooked up into this MLM thing through Vima, and he's totally excited about it. He's been working it for a while. He's got a 2-year plan and all these different things. And I try to make it clear to him and explain to him that yes, that's great, but when you don't have somewhere where you go in punch in and you punch out and you get a steady paycheck and all these different things, and of course you have to perform, and of course you have to do these different things. If you don't perform, if you don't eat, okay, you in this business, when you own your own business, when you run your own thing, you eat what you kill. And if you don't kill, you don't eat. And sometimes you go hungry. And that's the reality of these things. So there's sacrifice. I mean, if people think that there's a sacrifice right now by in their time and all these different things, I mean, just wait until you do get out on your own and you finally decide to resign or fire your boss and all these different things. And you're excited for a while, but it gets hard and a deal goes south, or you don't get any deals this month, or you know what I mean? All those things are realities. And I tell you this not to scare you, and not to, you know, tell you to go do something else, because I wouldn't want to do that. Because that's why I'm doing it. I'm here. But these are things that are true life events, things that happen, and the pressure and the stress to perform and all those different things are real. Okay. And you guys need to get comfortable with that. And you have to get your family and your loved ones on board and understanding that, and what the benefit is and what the payoff is going to be. And I'm telling you, that makes all the difference in the world, because there are days where I'm just like, man, as good as things are, sometimes some days are just man, and my wife Sharon just is there to support me in what happened. It's going to be fine, and this is going to go down right. And she gives me all this encouragement, because she sees that I need it now. It may not be based off of anything, and it may not be necessarily reality, because I don't share all the details of all the different deals and why something went one way and why something went another way, and whatever. But it's crucial for your survival. You got to do that. All right, so sorry, spent a lot of time on that. Moving on, another quick comment. It's easy to explain away the down payment. As for down payments, I have been telling sellers that the buyer needs down payment to get the conventional loan with the bank. It's been working for me. Okay, I've been telling sellers that the buyer needs the down payment. Okay, I know that's probably. I'm not going to get too much into that, but thanks for that comment. Yeah, the down payment is how we get paid. So, and I think that was a comment just based off of what I had said before. You don't want to throw all your chips out on the table. I don't ever bring it up. when they ask me what's in it for me, because we don't, because we tell them that it doesn't cost them anything. Well, we get, any and all of our fees are paid for by the incoming buyers that we source for you. That's really all I tell them. Well, what's in it for you? How do you get paid? Blah, 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 blah. The incoming buyer, we get paid. Any and all of our fees are paid by the incoming buyers that we source for you. And that's it. And sure, they have to, anything, all kinds of things come up. They have to have skin in the game, and all this stuff comes up. It's not until you deal with somebody, and you will, who is savvy, who's an investor, who's done things before, who understands the way it works, and who comes straight out and demands and say, well, I'm willing to do this, but I have to have this, and this is the way I want it, and blah blah blah. And even then, you can say stuff like, if they say, well, I need 20% down, well, how do you expect me to get paid? And then you stop talking like that, right? That totally made you guys uncomfortable, right? All right, that's called the silent close. Okay, and then in the silent close, whoever speaks next loses, right? When you ask a certain question, or you make a certain statement. So, how do you expect me to get paid? Well, what do you mean? Well, I mean, I'm not charging you anything, but I don't work for free, right? My time is valuable too. So, if you want all the down payment, how much of that down payment do you want me to participate in? I'd say at least, usually we do 50%. And you have that conversation. You control that conversation. And here's another little golden nugget that I'll give you guys, okay? That hopefully will help you get over your fears. There's no reason to be afraid of losing a deal that you don't have anyway. That guy hasn't said yes yet. Nothing has happened yet. He hasn't signed anything yet. You don't have a deal on the table that's about to close, and all of a sudden you're afraid to say the wrong thing. So and the guy takes his money away and goes. You don't even have a deal yet. Stop being afraid of losing something that you don't have. Okay? And do not let the tail wag the dog. You have to respect your own time. You have to value your own time. You have to value your own worth and what you're doing here. This is a business. Okay? You have to run it as a business. And there's nothing wrong. There's nothing immoral. There's nothing, rude or you're afraid to be a jerk or whatever it is. There's nothing wrong with asking to get paid and expecting to get paid. You're the professional here. You're the one doing this thing for them. You're the one bringing them a solution. So ask those questions. That's how you address those things. Okay. If the down payment thing comes up, blah, 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 blah. Now there's sometimes you give. Okay. Sometimes it's okay, depending on the size of the property. Now, if it's a $2 million property and they want $25,000 in down payment, I'm not gonna stress too much on that. Okay, because if you guys understand, that's in super jumbo territory. A person to qualify is gonna need at least 25% down. Now you do the math. If somebody's gonna bring in a couple $100,000 and the seller just wants 25, are you gonna have a problem giving them $25,000 so that you can make six figures? I know I won't. So it all depends on the deal and on the situation, how you handle things. Okay, but if it's a $200,000 property and they want they want $20,000, again, how do you expect me to get paid? How much of the down payment do you want me to participate in, or how much of the monthly payments and the down payment and the back end profits do you want me to participate in? And then you just keep your mouth shut. Oh, here comes a phone call. Anyway, so that's how you can handle some of those situations, so that you're not caught on your heels. And again, don't be afraid to talk back and take control. When we get someone with a question, when do we send them to you? I don't know what that means, Mike, because I'm not an answering service, so I don't know what questions you're talking about. Every time somebody asks you a question, do you send them to me? No, that's not how it works. Okay, I'm not going to be fielding 50 different phone calls from 50 different people because they have whatever questions they have. Now, if you have a lead and you're talking to them and whatever the situation is, and you're not sure and you don't want to throw away the lead altogether, you can do the turnover. That's another technique in sales. It's called the turnover. It's a very effective technique. You answer as many questions as you can. If there are questions that you don't know the answer to, you don't pretend to be an expert and make some stuff up and pull something out of your pocket. You say, you know what, that's a very good question. I haven't run into that before, but I'll be sure that that I get back to you on that, and we can even bring my partner Ivan on the phone next time, and he can address that for you. Now, putting that aside, what other questions do you have? And then you move the conversation forward. Okay. So I'm not sure if I understood that question. Forgive me if I didn't, but it just kind of seemed like kind of an open-ended thing. All right, another question or comment. I know of an old couple selling their house by owner that has moved out of state. They're asking for full retail price, but can go lower if they don't have to go through a realtor. As a bird dog, is this something I pass on to you or Pete to close a deal? I wouldn't want to take it and blow it for lack of experience since it would be my first deal. Okay, so just to clarify things, and this isn't to say anything negative about anything, but you don't send any of this stuff to Pete. Okay, um, it would be me, and there has to be a pre-qualification here of what is going on. So part of the pre-qualification is if they're for sale by owner, well, we want to know. We don't care. We don't want to know if we're not necessarily concerned about them willing to sell for a lower price if they don't have to go through a realtor. We understand that there's a benefit to not going through a realtor. So the first thing that you would need to qualify them for is, I understand you're selling your property. Would you also be open to selling via a owner finance or lease purchase type deal? Okay, that would be the first question. And if they say yes, or well, maybe, I'm not sure how that would work, or yeah, I'd be open to it, or yes, but I need $100,000 down. I mean, you get all kinds of different responses, but that's got to be one of the first pre-qualifying questions that you guys make, because again, we're not here to waste time, and it's imperative that you pre-qualify within the first 30 seconds of a conversation. Okay, I understand, blah, blah, blah. Are you also open to a lease purchase or owner finance type deal to get the property sold? Yes, or and they'll tell you whatever they tell you. And if it's a no, or if it's a whatever, then you don't have to waste your time any further, and you may ask one or two more questions and feel them out, and then, okay, well, thanks for your time. And you get off the phone, because your time is valuable. And when you're making, when your goal is to make 15, 20, 30 phone calls, you can't be entertaining people for 20, 30 minutes at a time when you know it's not going to go anywhere. Okay. So that would be the first thing to find out is, are they willing to sell via a owner finance or lease purchase type deal? And if they are, well, yes, how would that work? Maybe, depends on the situation, whatever. So that at least gives you a preliminary in to go spend a little more time and explain the benefits and the process, and feature benefit the program, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then, of course, the advanced stuff is going to be dealing with buyers, because that's a completely different realm. And of course, that's where the money's at. That's where the deals have to happen. That's where you have to close again, and you have all the dynamics of dealing with, you have to put a buyer and the seller, and when they meet, will one say, the wrong thing, and you have to prep both of them and coach both of them to say the right things, or not say something when they do happen to meet each other, and the reasons why, and you have to qualify them, and all that stuff. So that'll all be stuff that we're getting into, and we're going to be launching this probably tomorrow, if not by Saturday. So keep your eyes peeled. If you're not part of our VRIA group yet, let me know, and we can get you added to that group. My email, or actually the easiest thing to do is well, you can pull up this website here that I got pulled up, ivanoberon.brandyourself.com, and that has my Facebook link on the side, my LinkedIn, Google Plus, and just hit me up on Facebook and we can connect. You can also go to our website at c2creia.com/connect, and you can find our information there as well. And that brings us past an hour, guys. I hope this has been enjoyable. I know I could keep going. Um, but I know we both have other things to attend to, like dinner and spending time with our family and loved ones. So, any further questions, I'd be happy to take. And if not, we're going to start winding this thing down. Ivan, do you have a list of the most common questions that a seller will ask and the answers to those questions? I don't specifically have a list put together just yet, Mike, but that is going to be something that we address in our objection handling section. So all that stuff is being worked out, and we'll make that available. Okay. So again, anybody on here who is not connected with me on Facebook yet, please make sure you go and add me as a friend, so that if questions come up, if different things, updates that we do, all that kind of stuff, you guys can be made part of. All right. Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Will there be an investment for coaching? That is a good question. I think a question that answers itself. Don't you think? Yes, there will be for the in-depth coaching, the one-on-one coaching. There's going to be 3 different levels, okay, of coaching and an investment that you can make in coaching, to where it's very affordable, and you can step yourself up and have options to choose from. So we're working to make this thing one of the best coaching, quote unquote, coaching programs out there that you guys have seen, in regards to content, to accelerating you into closing deals and getting properties under contract, and taking you through the process, and having access to the material, access to phone calls, being able to do live phone calls with us, access to all the recorded materials, to video tutorials on different things. I mean, we're really putting a lot of time and energy and effort into this stuff. So, and part of the way that we're building it, and I'm building it, of course, is through some of my own experiences and what I found challenging when I first got into the business and started doing certain things. And that's the way that I've always done things. Is like when I first started rehabbing houses, the first biggest challenge that I had in getting started is getting a proof of funds, so I could start submitting offers and getting properties under contract. And so as soon as I raised enough money to do my deals with cash, I created a way to have to provide proof of funds for other people, because that was one of my struggles, and it was wildly successful. I know a lot of people that have used our proof of funds that have gotten, I mean, dozens of properties under contract, done dozens of deals, and that's just a testament to that stuff. And I love doing that. So that's really the how we're structuring all that stuff out. We won't have to keep you guys in suspense for very much longer, but we will continue to obviously help you and lead you along the way, in any case. So thanks for being on the call. Thank you. You do a great job of adding new material each week. Well, I appreciate that, because sometimes I have no idea what I'm going to be talking about. And I got to be honest with you, I had this whole other section planned out, and maybe we'll do that next week, or maybe we'll do it at a different time. But it is all about implementing interruption elimination steps. Okay. And going on a low information diet. And I'll explain to you what that means at some point. But if you think through your day, there are so many things and so many distractions. And of course, Facebook is a huge culprit. And I would recommend that you stay off of it as much as possible, or connect only to a specific channel or group in Facebook, because it's a huge time suck. And until you figure out how to monetize your time on Facebook, like some of us have, you want to stay away from it. So that was going to be part of what I talked about, because honestly, I didn't really know exactly what I was going to be talking about. And sometimes it depends on who I see is on here, and because I saw so many new names on here tonight, I decided to take it kind of a little bit more of a full swing approach to certain things, and add some additional information as well, because there's obviously, we got you guys who have been on here for a while and understand the thing, and I don't want you to be bored and hear stuff that you already know. So I do appreciate that comment, because these things do take a lot of energy, a lot of time, and even more sacrifice, like we've been talking about, from our own things and our own families, and obviously we don't get paid for any of this stuff. So I appreciate the comment and the appreciation of doing that. So next comment: is this specifically for this strategy that we're doing, or for multiple strategies, i.e., wholesale flip? Now, the this is going to be more specific to this strategy, but one of the things that we're going to do also is more in-depth sales training. Okay, because that is one thing that I feel is missing and lacking in so many programs and so many things out there, is nobody teaches how to sell, and what different techniques are, and how to control a conversation, how to build rapport, the different types of closes to use, and trial closes, and I mean, this is it. And so it's not, and I guess to expand on that question, is that there are going to be things that you learn doing this that will be able to translate into various aspects of your professional and personal lives. Okay, because again, the sales techniques and oh man, I mean, I can't even tell you how important those things are, and how much money having those techniques will make you, in regardless of whether it's real estate, or your job, or even just in dealing with people in their personal relationships. All right, thanks for sharing your time and your knowledge. Thank you very much again for the comment. Thank you for again. Thank you very much. Yes, I do this all without sound effects. My other partner, Pete, of course, is the sound effect king, and he has to have all these different things. And the funny thing is that he's got a very short attention span too. So sometimes he's got so many different buttons, so many different things going on, that he forgets where he's at. And it's funny. I make fun of him. But yeah, no sound effects. So if you guys want me to get sound effects, I don't know. I don't know if I'll do that. Never boring. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that, because even though I don't have any sound effects, I managed to not bore you guys. Alefa, she's very excited. Thank you. Thanks, Ivan. You're the man. All right. Well, I appreciate that. All right, guys, and thank all of you very much, because I know that you are investing your time and you are sacrificing your time with the hopes and intentions and expectations that you will learn and grow and improve, and that you will be motivated, and that your level of belief in yourself and in what you're doing, and in your future, and all those things will increase, so that we can do things together. And that's been our whole mentality, man. We're stronger together. Your net worth is equally proportionate to your network. When you plug in with the right people, and we're all helping each other and encouraging each other, and it's there's huge power behind that stuff, and the energy that it breeds, which is why, if you're part of the VRIA group, you've seen me do some posts, and I had to do one post about negativity, and about not being on the right, in the right mind frame, and tearing people down and bringing drama. Like, zero tolerance for any of that garbage, because we're here to make money. Okay, we're here to improve our families' lives and our future and our security and all those different things. We don't have time for nonsense. The only thing that we have time for is to build and encourage each other and learn together and make mistakes and learn through those mistakes and just do something great. And so anyway, I'm gonna get off on a rant, but that's our passion behind it. That's my passion behind it and what we're doing, and that's why we do these calls. That's why we're taking things to the next level, because it has to happen. And that's the only way really that we can keep our commitment to you guys and really follow through with the things that we want for you guys to be able to do. And of course that we want to do together. This is always been about give to get. You know what I mean? And we never hide the fact that we benefit from you and that you benefit from us. And quite frankly, that's the way that it should be, in my opinion. We should all have, again, a win-win situation. So with all that said, I appreciate your time, and we'll catch you online and the next time we do a call. All right, guys. Last minute questions, comments? No? All right. Well, have a great night. Enjoy your dinners if you haven't had them already, and good night's sleep. Take care.